There is a custom in my hometown that pregnant women should not attend weddings, but my cousin didn't care and insisted that I, 5 months pregnant, must attend the wedding with my big belly. I refused due to concerns about the impact, but she kept pleading at my house. She claimed that it's the modern era now, and we shouldn't believe those old-fashioned ideas. Had no choice but to go. But she suddenly had a miscarriage on the 3rd day after the wedding. Her husband went crazy with rage and drove his car into my husband and me as we were crossing the street for a prenatal checkup. After my husband and I died, my cousin threatened to kill herself to force my mother to sign a letter of forgiveness and promised that she and her husband would take full care of my mother for the rest of her life. Later, my mother's cousin tricked us out of our house, and we ended up on the streets, scavenging for a living. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the day my cousin was enthusiastically inviting me to her wedding. I looked at her with gritted teeth, filled with hatred, and said with a smile, "No, thanks, we're both pregnant, and I'm afraid it might clash with your belly." My cousin G. Rufe was taken aback for a moment, then grinned foolishly at me and said, "Sis, what are you talking about? I'm not pregnant, so how could it possibly affect my baby? Besides, what era is this now? Do you still believe those old-fashioned ideas?" Looking at her serious expression, I sneered inwardly. If I hadn't died once before, would have really believed it. What a pity. Her clever plan is about to fall apart this time. "Sis, we've grown up together since childhood. If you don't attend my wedding, this will be a lifelong regret for me." G. Rufe vigorously shook my arm, completely disregarding the fact that I was pregnant in my previous life. I was afraid that if she continued to shake me, my child would get hurt, so I agreed to her that I would definitely attend the wedding, and I myself do not agree with the older generation's beliefs. They say that pregnant women should not attend weddings, as they would steal the couple's fortune. If the couple is already pregnant, the pregnant women attending the wedding might take their child away. If the couple is not pregnant, then the god of fertility will think that this family already has a child, and there is no need to grant a new one. So on the wedding day, I went and was stopped at the door by G. Rufe's mother-in-law, who shouted curses at me. "Get lost. Didn't your mother teach you how to behave? Attending someone else's wedding while heavily pregnant? Do you have any shame? We're not enemies, are we? Why would you do this to us?" Surrounding me were the pointing fingers and hushed whispers of relatives and friends. I lowered my head, wishing I could find a crack in the ground to crawl into. My face felt burning hot, as if I had been slapped in public. Seeing me wronged, my husband stepped in front of me and argued back with her mother-in-law. "My wife didn't even want to come in the first place. It was your daughter-in-law who begged her repeatedly to come. How dare you scold my wife when she's pregnant? What gives you the right? If it weren't for your daughter-in-law begging, do you think we'd be willing to come, seeing you're a woman and an elder? Otherwise I'd have beaten you up long ago." After saying that, he grabbed me and was about to leave, but he was pulled back by G. Rufe, who had run out. G. Rufe's mother-in-law was still at the door, yelling at my husband, "Get lost quickly, coming here to steal our family's fortune while pregnant. What a bad omen." Hearing this, G. Rufe stepped in to block her mother-in-law's fiery gaze. She loudly demanded, "Why can't my sister come? Your reasons are all superstitions held onto by a bunch of old-fashioned people." After glancing at my stomach, she turned to her mother-in-law and threatened again, "If you don't let my sister attend the wedding, then I won't get married." I was so moved by her defending me that tears streamed down my face. With G. Rufe's threat, her mother-in-law could only let me in with a cold expression. Because of the commotion at the entrance, I felt like sitting on pins and needles while watching G. Rufe's ceremony. As soon as her ceremony ended, I fled as if escaping. After returning home, G. Rufe even specially called to thank me. "Sis, thank you for coming to my wedding. In a few days, I'll send you a big gift." After hanging up the phone, I was still confused, unable to figure out why she insisted on me attending the wedding and why was she so happy unexpectedly. 3 days later, on the way to the prenatal checkup with my husband, my mother suddenly called to tell me that G. Rufe had a sudden miscarriage. In the middle of the night, while sleeping, a large amount of blood flowed out from below. I still felt sorry for G. Rufe. After hanging up the phone, she didn't even know when she got pregnant, and now she's had a sudden miscarriage. The hospital was across the street, and as my husband and I were crossing the road, we planned to postpone the prenatal checkup a bit and go see G. Rufe first. I was hit and sent flying by a speeding car, and on the brink of death, I saw G. Rufe's husband. Song Jiabao got out of the car, his eyes red as he stomped on my face. "Bitch, I'll kill you. You killed my child, you all deserve to die." Thinking this, I coldly stared at G. Rufe and pushed her hard. "Be careful, why are you pulling me so forcefully? Don't forget, I'm pregnant now. Ji Rufei looked at me in shock and awkwardly withdrew her hand. Sister, I beg you, just go. I really am not pregnant. Why are you starting to get superstitious? I glanced at her hands, and she was clenching them tightly together. This was her habit of lying since she was a child, thinking of her finding an excuse to have an abortion, to kill me. I'm so angry I can't stand it. I want to expose her right now, but exposing her now won't cause her any real harm. I want to see the day she reaps what she sows. Only this time there won't be me to shield her. I feel much more at ease. Fei, you're really not pregnant? When I asked tentatively, Ji Rufei breathed a sigh of relief. Of course I'm not pregnant. If I were, I'd be the first to tell you. I definitely want to share the joy with you first. Hearing her confident words, I pretended to think it over with some difficulty. All right then, I'll definitely be there on time on your wedding day. As soon as the words were spoken, Ji Rufei stood up excitedly, still jumping in place a few times, as if celebrating in advance. I knew you were the best to me. Thank you, sis. Watching her leave happily, I put away the fake smile on my face. Laugh now. The happier you laugh now, the harder you'll cry later. Ji Rufei's wedding is next week, and I need to prepare in advance. I will not give Ji Rufei the opportunity to frame me. Time flies, and the day of the wedding arrives. Early in the morning, Ji Rufei called me to confirm repeatedly that I would definitely attend, and only then did she feel at ease, and I also walked out of the airport restroom. My husband was waiting for me at the entrance, holding my bag. As soon as he saw me come out, he immediately came over and took my hand. While walking out of the airport, he asked in confusion, "Why did you suddenly decide to go on a trip? Now that I've taken my annual leave, I'll have less time to spend with you when you give birth." I felt a bit sad inside. He still doesn't know. In my previous life, I never even got to see the child born. Instead, I ended up attending a wedding with him. The whole family of 3 lost their lives. Honey, when we get back, don't tell anyone we were on vacation, okay? Just say you were urgently sent on a business trip by the company and didn't feel comfortable leaving me home alone, so you brought me along. As for the reason, I'm afraid my husband will go crazy when he finds out, so I smile and say, "You'll know in a few days." After leaving the airport, I immediately turned off both of our phones. I guarantee that even if the heavens themselves come today, Ji Rufei won't be able to reach me. My husband and I went to the seaside and also visited the aquarium. We didn't have lunch until we were tired from walking and couldn't move anymore, confirming that Ji Rufei's wedding had already ended. Only then did I turn on both phones, and as soon as they were powered on, Ji Rufei's phone calls came flooding in, and as soon as I answered, her frantic questioning erupted. "Why didn't you come? Where did you go? There's no one at home. Didn't you promise me you'd definitely come?" At this point, I pretended to have just woken up and let out a yawn. I said very apologetically, "I'm sorry, Fei, your brother-in-law was sent on a business trip by his company late last night. You know how he is. He didn't trust me staying home alone, so he brought me along." I was so exhausted after the flight that I forgot to turn my phone on. I just woke up, and as soon as I turned my phone on, I was about to call you to let you know. Suddenly, a furious scream from Ji Rufei came through the phone. "What's wrong, Fei? Are you okay?" I immediately asked anxiously, expressing my concern. After a long pause, Ji Rufei finally spoke out in frustration. "How could you go back on your word? If he needs to travel for work, let him go alone. Why do you have to go with him? Do you know you've left me with a lifelong regret?" I suppressed the smile that wanted to rise at the corners of my mouth and said softly, "I'm sorry, Fei. Don't worry. When you have a baby in the future, I'll definitely come and keep an eye on you." The phone call was abruptly cut off, and I burst out laughing. My husband stared at me in shock, exclaiming, "Honey, when did you become so good at lying without even flinching? This isn't like you at all." I gave him an annoyed glare. "Get lost." Ji Rufei's call came through again. This time she calmed down and asked softly, "Sis, I accidentally hung up just now. When are you coming back? I'll drive to the airport to pick you up when the time comes." My heart tightened. Was she thinking of another way to harm me? No need. Your brother-in-law said it might take 10 days to half a month. When we came, we parked the car at the airport. We can just drive back ourselves when the time comes. After I said this, I could hear Ji Rufei's heavy breathing through the phone. "All right, then be careful on the road." Tisk, that was said with real bitterness, probably saw that I wasn't around, gave up hope, and went looking for another way. After dinner, my husband and I returned to the hotel. After playing all morning, I was really exhausted. I lay in bed and opened the live broadcast replay of the fruit vendor across from the hotel. It was after Ji Rufei left that I approached the vendor. I gave him 200 yuan and asked him to definitely film in front of the hotel entrance on the wedding day. From the moment Ji Rufei entered the hotel, she would go to the entrance to check almost every 10 minutes. This brother also joked with the viewers in the live stream that the bride must be waiting for someone very important. Could it be that the bride is waiting for someone to come and steal the show? I took a step back, and as the wedding approached, Ji Rufei's face grew increasingly anxious. During this time, she also seemed to have a quarrel with her mother-in-law, and the two of them pulled and tugged for a while. Ji Rufei's mother-in-law kept pushing her inside, trying to make her go back, but she only wanted to wait outside for the appearance of a big fool like me. She could only go back and forth to check again and again. Every time she came out, she was constantly making phone calls, and the last time she came out, she was so furious that she directly threw her phone. I hailed a taxi by the roadside and left. Ignoring any calls, Big Brother was laughing so happily, telling netizens, the bride didn't wait for anyone to kidnap her, she ran away herself. I don't even need to check the surveillance at my house. This hotel is only 2 kilometers from my place. She must have grown tired of waiting for me and decided to come to my place directly. Sure enough, about 10 minutes later, Ji Rufei disembarked from the taxi. Looking utterly dejected, drowsiness overcame me, so I closed the live stream and fell asleep. After waking up, it was back to wandering around with my husband, as these 4 days were all about eating, sleeping, and playing. Happy days came to a halt on the morning of the 4th day after Ji Rufei's wedding. It was still my mother who called me, and she sounded very anxious on the phone. Cece, your cousin has had a miscarriage, she's hemorrhaging and is in critical condition at the hospital. I was a bit surprised and blinked. In my previous life, there hadn't been such a severe hemorrhage, and this day is also a day late, but it's okay, the child is already gone, so Ji Rufei can't pin it on me. I told my mom about the business trip, so I can only go back to see my cousin later. After hanging up the phone, I turned around and saw my husband staring at me with a serious expression. Darling, something's off with you. You and your cousin have always been the closest. Whenever she had the slightest issue before, you'd get all flustered. Now, hearing that she's hemorrhaging heavily, how can you still manage to smile? Although my husband phrased it as a question, his tone was certain. He knows me all too well. The smile on my face froze, and I took a deep breath, knowing that the matter could no longer be concealed. I had no choice but to tell the truth. Actually, after being hit and killed by Song Jiabao, I didn't enter a strange world as the rumors said. Instead, I stayed by Song Jiabao's side. But for some reason, I never saw my husband's ghost. Can't even leave to go home and see my mom. I have to follow Song Jiabao home. At his house, I saw Ji Rufei lying in bed, sending messages to another man. She said the child had already been aborted, and they should never contact each other again, and don't come looking for her for money anymore. Now that the child is gone, he can't threaten Ji Rufei anymore. I was stunned. She had deliberately taken medication to abort the child. The child in her womb wasn't Song Jiabao's. No wonder Ji Rufei didn't dare let Song Jiabao know she was already pregnant before the wedding. If he found out about the pregnancy, the child would definitely be born. When the child is born and it's discovered that it isn't Song Jiabao's, the consequences would be unimaginable. I searched everywhere in her house and finally found it in the corner of the room where miscellaneous items are stored. I saw a black garbage bag containing empty medicine boxes that had already been used. According to the timeline, Ji Rufei started taking mifepristone on the day of the wedding. She had me pegged as the scapegoat from the very beginning. Using the local customs here, she invited me to the wedding, then she blamed the accidental miscarriage on me. A pregnant woman. Song Jiabao has a short fuse, and after Ji Rufei pretended to be wronged and complained to him, in a moment of impulse, I crashed into and killed both my husband and myself, completely covering up the fact that Ji Rufei was already pregnant with someone else's child before marriage. Afterwards, she went to beg my mother to sign a letter of understanding, coaxing my mother into providing for her in old age. Seeing her kneeling on the ground, crying so hard she almost fainted, if I hadn't been able to touch her at that moment, Ji Rufei would have been torn apart by me long ago. At that time, she held my mother's hand tightly, crying heart-wrenchingly, "Auntie, please sign it. I promise I'll treat you better than my own mother in the future." My mother tugged her hand several times but couldn't pull it free, her eyes swollen and her voice hoarse as she said, "You want me to forgive the murderer of my daughter? You're dreaming. Song Jiabao should pay for my daughter's life." Ji Rufei quickly kowtowed, speaking with both emotion and reason. "Auntie, uncle is gone, and now sister and brother-in-law are also gone. You need to think about the living. It's Song Jiabao who is inhuman, but people can't come back to life after they die. If you sign the forgiveness letter, we'll take care of you together once he's out. When you're old and can't move, I'll take care of you like you're my own mother. Ji Rufei raised her hand and swore, her words sincere and heartfelt. My mother was already wavering at this point, and I was beside myself with anxiety. I shouted, "No," loudly at my mother, but she couldn't hear me. I couldn't do anything either, only watching helplessly as my mother's trembling hands signed the letter of understanding. During Song Jiabao's year in prison, Ji Ruf truly treated my mother like her own mother. While outside, if it weren't for her cursing and scheming against my mother every time she left our house, maybe I believed she would really take good care of her. Throughout the year, I stayed by Ji Rufei's side. Only when she went to see my mother, that was the only time I could see her, and my mother had visibly aged a lot. I didn't even know when she had stopped wearing her favorite brightly colored clothes. Instead, she donned a plain gray robe, and her previous large waves of hair were tied up. In its place was a hat that matched the color of her clothes. Ji Rufei placed the tonic she was holding to the side. She warmly took my mother's hand and tentatively began to speak. "Auntie, Jiabao is out, and we discussed it. We wanted to ask if you could sell the current house. We'll also sell the smaller one we have at home and buy a bigger house together, then move you and my parents in with us." Ji Rufei paused, and seeing that my mother didn't react, continued, "After moving, you can chat with my parents when you're free. Since sister left, you've been running to the temple all the time. We're worried you're being deceived." Hearing Ji Rufei's sweet talk, I almost screamed myself hoarse. I kept slapping her face over and over, but each time my hand passed through weakly, desperately watching my mother follow Ji Rufei to handle the paperwork. I shut my mother out the door, watching her pitiful state. I wish I had been utterly destroyed at the moment of the collision. To tell my mother not to believe Ji Rufei's nonsense. After saying all this, I was already in tears, my heart aching and clenched tight, looking up at my husband. His eyes were also red, and his tightly clenched hands quickly relaxed. He stood up and immediately started packing his luggage. "Wife, let's go back now. I'll kill those two beasts." I quickly went to stop him, knowing that not telling him earlier was to prevent him from acting impulsively. This rebirth thing is too absurd. It would indeed be satisfying for my husband to directly retaliate against Ji Rufei, but it's not worth ruining my husband's life over a pair of beasts. I just need to extricate myself and distance myself from this matter. Ji Rufei's consequences will be enough for her to bear on her own. After I finished speaking, my husband calmed down a little. He hugged me tightly, choking back tears. "I'm sorry, wife, I didn't protect you well enough. Hey, don't squeeze so hard, you're pressing on our daughter." 10 days later, my husband and I finally returned home. The next day, my mother took us to the hospital together. Ji Rufei lay in bed with a pale face, looking extremely weak. On the way, my mother told me that Ji Rufei had suffered a massive hemorrhage and was in critical condition for 6 hours. Almost all the blood in his body was replaced before he was pulled back from the brink of death. Upon entering the ward, I saw Song Jiabao feeding her soup with great care. "Feifei, how are you feeling? You were fine when you called me. How did you suddenly have a miscarriage?" I pretended to be anxious, held her hand, and asked with concern. "Cousin, I'm fine now. It's all over. Let's not talk about it." Ji Rufei replied weakly, pretending she didn't want to bring it up. "Cousin, it's all my fault. I didn't even know Feifei was pregnant. Go ahead and scold me. I didn't take good care of Feifei." Song Jiabao looked at me with a kind expression, filled with self-blame. My husband patted his shoulder, comforting him. "You're also the child's biological father. You certainly didn't mean it." After my husband said this, I could clearly see Ji Rufei tense up. I turned my head and curled my lips. "Scared now, Ji Rufei? On the day you are discharged from the hospital, I also have a big gift for you." Ji Rufei suddenly asked, "Brother-in-law, where did your company send you for a business trip? Why did you leave in the middle of the night?" My husband was momentarily stunned but quickly caught on, scratching his head and smiling. "Oh, there was an issue with a project I've been working on, so I rushed over as soon as I got the call. I knew you were getting married and worried that your sister wouldn't be taken care of at home, so I had her come with me. You know, my parents are no longer with us, and I wouldn't feel at ease leaving the house unattended." Ji Rufei stared into my husband's eyes for a long time, as if to confirm whether what he said was true or false. "I thought it was my sister who was afraid of our customs here." "Sister, if you had come on the day of the wedding, maybe I could have shared in your good fortune." Ji Rufei suddenly lowered her head in disappointment, gently stroking her stomach with her left hand. "Perhaps this child might not leave me either." As soon as Ji Rufei said this, I quickly looked at Song Jiabao. Seeing his expression unchanged, I felt slightly relieved. I couldn't help but curse Ji Rufei in my heart. What on earth had I done to wrong her? Was she going to ruin me alone? I thought about how, although she called me sister, I was only 2 months older than her, because I was an only child, and because Ji Rufei had always called me sister since she was young. I placed myself in the position of an older sister. As she fell in love early during high school, I earnestly advised her to break up, but she never listened. When her parents found out and she was beaten, I stood in front of her to protect her. When we both went to university, it goes without saying that we weren't in the same school, but her living expenses were insufficient, and I was the one supporting her. After she started working, whenever she faced difficulties or encountered any danger, I was always the first to be by her side, protecting her, comforting her. Why was she constantly fixated on me? Wait, could it be that Ji Rufei feels deep down that this is what I should do, so she didn't want to have the baby and used me as a scapegoat? My back was instantly soaked with sweat. If my guess is really true, then all the effort I've put in over the years would be like raising an ungrateful wolf. There's no difference. Helping her so much is not as good as raising a dog. At least I feed it. It would wag its tail at me instead of stabbing me in the back, framing me, and provoking Song Jiabao to kill me. Thinking of this, my hatred for Ji Rufei grew even stronger. I withdrew my hand from hers. How could that be? Don't overthink it. Take good care of yourself. When you go home, I'll come visit you. I stood up and said to Song Jiabao before leaving. Take good care of Feifei. I see she's not in a good mood. Be more understanding and let her have her way a bit. Song Jiabao nodded quickly, smiling at me. Don't worry, sister, I know everything. After leaving the ward, I could still hear Song Jiabao talking to Ji Rufei. Your sister is really good to you. I'm so envious. I was puzzled. Song Jiabao didn't seem like such an impulsive person. Why did I make such an impulsive move in my previous life? After thinking for a long time, I couldn't come up with an answer, so I could only attribute it to Ji Rufei's eloquent mouth. Half a month later, I suddenly received a call from Ji Rufei. On the phone, she cried out to me in panic, "Hurry up and save me, Song Jiabao is going to kill me." I smiled faintly. The big gift I sent to Ji Rufei seemed to have been received. I called my husband and asked him to accompany me to watch the show. When we arrived at Ji Rufei's house, the mystical door was wide open. Several neighbors had gathered at the door to watch the commotion. Seeing my pregnant belly, they quickly cleared a path for me. As soon as I entered, I saw the messy living room, with all the dishes from the table scattered on the floor. At the bedroom door was Song Jiabao, frantically pounding on it. Through the thick door panel, the frightened sobs of Ji Rufei could still be heard. "Bitch, come out, tell me the truth. Were the words of that man true? The child is his, isn't it? Or maybe you don't even know whose child it is, which is why you secretly aborted it." Song Jiabao's eyes were red, and the door panel was smeared with blood from him slamming it too hard. Inside the room, Ji Rufei's sobs came in broken gasps as she explained, "No, what he said isn't true, honey, you have to believe me, that child is really yours." My husband was afraid that the furious Song Jiabao might bump into me, so he told me to stand by the door. He went in and grabbed Song Jiabao. "Let's talk this out properly. What are you two doing? Look at the neighbors at the door. Aren't you afraid of being laughed at?" Song Jiabao turned his head to look at my husband, and tears immediately welled up. Feeling wronged like a fool, brother-in-law, that bitch Ji Rufei cheated before marriage. She was pregnant with someone else's child and was too afraid to give birth, so she took medicine to make it look like a miscarriage. I knew the neighbors had seen enough of the drama, so I thoughtfully closed the door, to prevent these people from continuing to watch the show. My husband pulled Song Jiabao over to the sofa and sat him down, telling him to take his time and explain. Song Jiabao said he received a package 3 days ago. Inside were photos of Ji Rufei in bed with another man. There was also a letter, thanking him for raising another man's child. I didn't believe it, and foolishly took those letters to confront that bitch. She told me that her ex-boyfriend from before came to see her get married on purpose to spite me. Song Jiabao said this through gritted teeth, glaring fiercely at the bedroom door. It seemed that if she dared to open the door, he would immediately rush up and strangle her. Song Jiabao said that he had always known Ji Rufei had a very despicable ex. The photos were also taken by tricking Ji Rufei into posing for them, and the letter claimed that the child was his. That was a lie to deceive Song Jiabao, out of jealousy that Song Jiabao could marry her. Brother-in-law, I really believed it. The photos and the letter were all burned by me, but it was just today when I ran out of soy sauce while cooking, so I went to buy some. As soon as I went downstairs, I saw that man. He was waiting for me on purpose. I quietly listened to his account from the side. The man stopped Song Jiabao directly. Like a hooligan, he asked Song Jiabao if the taste of a second-hand woman was good. This made Song Jiabao so angry that he was about to strike. But unexpectedly, the man directly raised his phone. In the green chat bubble, it was precisely Ji Rufei telling the man about getting the child aborted. That glaring green seemed to cast a greenish hue over Song Jiabao's head. The man said that the last time he and Ji Rufei came out of the hotel was exactly the day they had set their wedding date. There was also the incident where the man asked Ji Rufei for money and was refused. I had a massive hemorrhage from a miscarriage, and all the money was spent on saving me. How could there be any left for you? You should be grateful I'm not asking you for money. Don't let me see you again. Song Jiabao thought to himself for a moment. That day, Ji Rufei really wasn't with him, and the day after the miscarriage rescue, Ji Rufei did indeed come to him asking for money. At that time, the money in the current account was indeed all used up for her emergency treatment, so it wasn't given to her. The man playfully patted Song Jiabao's shoulder, taunting, "Bro, you're not that great either. You slept with her so many times, but it's not as effective as me. Sleeping with her a few times, what a pity. This child was aborted with medication by her. Otherwise, you could have helped me raise the child." The man spoke, a look of regret still on his face. Song Jiabao was furious, swinging his fists as he fought with the man. Only after the man was beaten and driven away did Song Jiabao remember to go home and confront Ji Rufei. At first, Ji Rufei stubbornly refused to admit it, until Song Jiabao searched all over the house. Finally, the empty box of mifepristone tablets was found in the storage room. Only then did she admit it, immediately kneeling down in front of Song Jiabao and apologizing tearfully. "Honey, you have to believe me. He forced me to go. If I didn't go, he threatened to come after you." Slap, slap, 2 hard slaps landed on Ji Rufei's face. "But the child really is yours. I wouldn't dare lie to you about this." Ji Rufei covered her face, firmly refusing to admit that the child belonged to that man. Song Jiabao roared loudly. "Do you have any idea how traumatized I've been since I caused your miscarriage? No wonder you were so unusually passionate on our wedding night. Did you plan all of this? You just want me to feel guilty." Song Jiabao was furious watching Ji Rufei repeatedly apologize with her head down. He wished he could kill her right now. He smashed everything in the house, but it still didn't relieve his anger, just thinking about how Ji Rufei had pestered him for 3 days, all to pin the blame for the accidental miscarriage on him. It had caused him immense psychological pressure over the past half-month, and he might never be able to function properly again. He rushed into the kitchen, ready to grab a knife and attack Ji Rufei. Seeing him go to find something, Ji Rufei grew terrified and scrambled back to the bedroom in a panic. "My husband glanced at me and sighed, but you can't be too impulsive. If you kill her, you'll go to jail." Song Jiabao glared fiercely at my husband and said in a deep voice, "I forgot, you're this bitch's sister and brother-in-law. You're here to persuade me to forgive her, aren't you? Dream on." Song Jiabao became more and more agitated and stood up. "Make her come out. Let's go to the Civil Affairs Bureau right now. I want a divorce." I quietly retreated a few more steps toward the corner, feeling a bit of regret. Should have known better than to come watch the show in person. It wouldn't be good if I accidentally got caught up in it. It would have been better to let my husband bring his phone and give me a live broadcast instead. The bedroom door was cautiously opened, and when Ji Rufei came out, it gave me quite a start. She was probably crying too hard, her hair disheveled and her face pale. She looked even more haggard, as if she might die at any moment. As soon as she came out, she knelt beside Song Jiabao, like a begging dog, crouched at Song Jiabao's feet. "Honey, I was wrong. Please don't divorce me. I promise there won't be a next time." "Okay." Song Jiabao kicked her away with a look of disgust on his face. "This divorce is final." After speaking, she walked a few steps into the bedroom and packed her luggage. She threw things around in the bedroom, making a clanging noise. "Sister, brother-in-law, please help me persuade Jiabao. Just married and already getting a divorce, and now the neighbors are gossiping. How am I supposed to live from now on?" Ji Rufei was crying pitifully, and her wretched appearance stirred a moment of compassion in me. I was torn inside, thinking maybe I should just let it go, since in this life she hadn't succeeded in framing me. But after a while of waiting for my reaction, Ji Rufei suddenly burst into a tirade. "No, it's all your fault that things have turned out this way. If you had come on the wedding day, this might not have happened. I wouldn't have had to go to great lengths to cling to Song Jiabao, and I wouldn't have had an accident leading to massive bleeding. Now, the little bit of compassion I had in my heart has instantly fizzled out. People like her don't deserve my forgiveness." "Cousin, What are you talking about? What does your miscarriage have to do with me? Did I make you pregnant with someone else's child? I deliberately stepped back a few paces, feigning sadness. To avoid her attempt to grab my leg, my husband also stepped in front of me, glaring at her angrily. You're exactly the cheap woman Jiabao described. You're about to get married, yet you're still flirting with other men. Thank goodness I'm your brother-in-law. If I were Jiabao's brother-in-law, I'd have slapped you a few times too. Now you dare to throw mud at your sister. Take a look at yourself and see if you're even worthy. My husband won't feel any pity for her anyway. Since Ji Rufei has already cursed me out, then he didn't want to hold back anymore. Why am I not worthy? If she had come, I could have blamed the miscarriage on her, then there wouldn't have been all this messy business. Now Jiabao wants to divorce me. Who told her to be my sister, and a pregnant woman at that? Ji Rufei shouted at us, her voice hoarse but with an air of righteous indignation. She really took all my kindness for granted. Ji Rufei, I've never asked you to repay me for anything, have I? I pointed at her, my arm trembling. I really want to shout out everything she did in her previous life. I want to scold her, hit her. But I'm pregnant. Ji Rufei will get her just deserts. There's no need to argue with her now. In your eyes, am I just someone you use as a shield without a second thought? You've really let me down, I said to her dejectedly, then took my husband's hand and left, shutting Song Jiabao's angry shouts behind the door. From today on, Ji Rufei won't have the face to come looking for me again. A few days later, my mother told me that Ji Rufei and Song Jiabao were in the middle of a divorce lawsuit. Ji Rufei was hospitalized, and it seemed that after my husband and I left that day, the two of them must have gotten into a fight. Ji Rufei was kicked several times by Song Jiabao, resulting in a ruptured uterus. She fell into a coma, and by the time she woke up, her uterus had already been removed. She was furious and sued Song Jiabao, and now both lawsuits are being handled together. I said coldly to my mother, don't tell me anything about Ji Rufei in the future. I don't want to know, and I don't want to hear it either. My mother was taken aback for a moment, but she didn't ask for details. Every day she continued to dress herself up beautifully and went to the square to dance. Half a year later, I gave birth to a son in the hospital. My husband held the child, wanting me to breastfeed him, but he didn't dare to come forward. He knew that all I ever wanted was a sweet and adorable daughter. Honey, why don't you feed him? We can't let our son start with such a disastrous beginning and have to retrain from scratch. Seeing him look at me with such earnest eyes, it almost made me furious. Get lost. Do I look like that kind of person to you? If I have a child I don't like, can I just stuff it back in? My husband smirked and gently placed our son in my arms. Just as the baby started nursing smoothly, my phone rang. It's a number without a name, but I'm not unfamiliar with it. I was just wondering, it's been half a year, how did she just notice it now? I raised an eyebrow at my husband, answered the phone, and put it to my ear. Ji Rufei seemed to be shouting furiously right next to my ear. Bitch, it's you who ruined me. You found my ex-boyfriend and had him destroy my family. I'm going to kill you. Why do you want to harm me? My ears were a bit sore from the explosion, so I held the phone a little farther away. You even gave him money, and I trusted you the most. Whenever something happens, I come to you first. Why are you treating me like this? Stop arguing. It's so annoying, I replied loudly, and my son opened his eyes to look at me before continuing to nurse. Shouldn't you already know the reason? I'm just protecting myself, you know. I never harm anyone. You're only reaping what you sow. You reap what you sow. Then, hang up, block, and delete in one go. I had already gone to Ji Rufei's ex-boyfriend on the day of my rebirth. I heard her mention that her boyfriend is from a small village. His family is very poor and couldn't afford to marry a wife. They originally thought they could trick Ji Rufei into coming home to be his wife, who would have thought she suddenly woke up and turned to find a man with a car and a house. So every time he used photos of the two of them together to threaten Ji Rufei into giving him money. Who knew Ji Rufei was planning to abort the child, and he no longer had a way to get money, so I approached him, promising to give him 50,000 yuan once the job was done, to have him tell Song Jiabao the truth after Ji Rufei's miscarriage. Find Song Jiabao and tell him the truth. After Ji Rufei gets divorced, she will definitely go find him. I asked him to take Ji Rufei back to their hometown, then he wouldn't have to spend a single cent on bride price and would get a beautiful wife for free. He could also earn 50,000 yuan, so he agreed very readily. Over the past 6 months, I haven't blocked his phone number because I was waiting for Ji Rufei's call. She can forget about coming back for the rest of her life. As for Ji Rufei, she lost her uterus and can never have children. Consider it revenge for the way she framed me. As for Song Jiabao, 3 months ago, he was sentenced to 3 years and 8 months for intentional assault. Watching my son suckle obediently, a first-time mother's smile spread across my face. I have finally given birth to this child safely, honey. In a couple of years, let's give our eldest a little sister. Alright, I'll listen to whatever you say, dear bitch. It's you who ruined me. You found my ex-boyfriend and had him destroy my family. I'm going to kill you. Why? Do you want to harm me? My ears were ringing a bit from the shouting, so I held the phone a little farther away. You even gave him money, and I trusted you the most. Whenever something happens, I come to you first. Why are you treating me like this? Stop arguing. It's so annoying, I replied loudly, and my son opened his eyes to look at me before continuing to nurse. Shouldn't you already know the reason? I'm just protecting myself. You know, I never harm anyone. You're only reaping what you sow. You reap what you sow. Then, hang up, block, and delete in one go. I had already gone to Ji Rufei's ex-boyfriend on the day of my rebirth. I heard her mention that her boyfriend is from a small village. His family is very poor and couldn't afford to marry a wife. They originally thought they could trick Ji Rufei into coming home to be his wife. Who would have thought she suddenly came to her senses and turned to find a man with a car and a house, so he always used photos of them together to threaten Ji Rufei into giving him money. Who would have thought that Ji Rufei would decide to abort the child? And he lost his means of extorting money, so I approached him and promised him 50,000 yuan to go to Ji Rufei after the abortion, find Song Jiabao and tell him the truth. After Ji Rufei gets divorced, she will definitely go to him. I asked him to take Ji Rufei back to their hometown, then he wouldn't have to pay a single cent in bride price and would get a beautiful wife for free. He could also earn 50,000 yuan, so he agreed very readily. In the past 6 months, I haven't blocked his phone number because I was waiting for Ji Rufei's call. She can forget about coming back for the rest of her life. Ji Rufei lost her uterus and will never be able to have children in her lifetime. It can also be considered as avenging the harm she caused me. As for Song Jiabao, he was sentenced to 3 years and 8 months for intentional injury 3 months ago. Looking at my son sucking obediently, a smile of a new mother appears on my face. I finally gave birth to this child safely. Honey, let's have another baby. A sister for our firstborn, in a couple of years. Sure, I'll do whatever my wife says. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. I'm done for. The $100 billion merger I just secured turned out to be a massive trap. If I sign my name at tomorrow's contract ceremony, what awaits me won't be a $1 million bonus, but a prison sentence starting at 10 years. I broke out in a cold sweat from the shock. Trembling, I opened the company's main group chat, ready to resign in disgrace. The next second, the office door was kicked open with a bang. In turn, Lu Xingyu swaggered in, pointing at my nose and shouting, Jiang Ning, stop wasting your time. President Zhao thinks you're moving the project too slowly, seriously affecting the company's listing process. From now on, the billion-dollar project is mine. General Manager Zhao Wei stood behind her, pretending to cough. Xiao Jiang, you're too conservative. For a major project like this, what we need is a wolf-like spirit. I looked at the two of them, my mind going blank for a moment. Then, an overwhelming surge of joy shot through the top of my head. Someone is actually rushing to take the blame. Is there really such a good thing? The words "There's a problem with the project" that were on the tip of my tongue were swallowed back down. Looking at Lu Xingyu's greedy face, I suddenly found her incredibly pleasing to the eye. She was practically a little angel sent down by the Bodhisattva to save the suffering. I quickly withdrew my hand from the keyboard and promptly deleted that resignation letter. Then, I took a deep breath and began to act with full intensity. My eyes instantly reddened, and my voice carried a perfectly measured tremor and sense of injustice. Director Zhao, I've been working on this project for 6 months, pulling countless all-nighters, and we're about to sign the contract. Replacing me now, isn't that just too unfair? The more pitifully I acted, the more excited they became. Lu Xingyu sneered and tossed my employee badge straight into the trash can. Fair. She leaned in close to me, the pungent perfume on her nearly making me faint. In the investment banking world, what's the use of just working hard? You need connections. Aunt Jiang, you old women are so rigid-minded. It's high time you made way for the younger generation. She pointed toward the door. Pack up your things and hand over the core key. From now on, you can go help out in the printing room. This kind of mindless physical labor is more suitable for you. If it were yesterday, if anyone dared to call me auntie, I would have definitely splashed hot coffee in their face. But now, looking at Lu Xingyu's arrogant face, I forced myself to hold back the urge to laugh uncontrollably, lowered my head, and adopted an extremely humble posture. All right, Xiao Lu. Oh no, Mr. Lu, since Mr. Zhao trusts you, I'll step aside right away. I hope you can truly grasp this immense fortune. Don't let it slip through your fingers. That's 10 years of prison food. Less than 10 minutes after I was kicked out of the office, the company's main group chat exploded. Lu Xingyu is not only stupid, but also arrogant, she posted a moment on her social media. The photo shows a back view of someone holding a red wine glass, standing in front of a floor-to-ceiling window in the CBD. The caption has that motivational MLM style. Thanks to CEO Zhao's trust, the 100 billion merger is a done deal. Some people have worked for 10 years and are still just employees, while I'm about to make history in just 3 months. It even specifically tagged all the company's directors and executives below. I sat in the printing room filled with the smell of ink, helping the administrative assistant copy invoices while scrolling through group messages. The scene was nothing short of a gathering of demons dancing wildly. Wang Xuanpan, the financial director, who was usually stingy with me and would scrutinize a travel reimbursement 3 times over, now sent a row of thumbs-up emojis in the group chat. Awesome, I knew Xingyu was the rising star of our company. With this deal secured, our annual financial report is about to take off. HR Director Li Shuangbiao is also a master at riding the tide. It is officially announced that Xingyu has been promoted to the position of director. This kind of wolf-like spirit, as demonstrated by Director Lu, is the core value of our company. Unlike some old employees who occupy positions without contributing, some old employees, no need to name names, everyone knows it's about me. Zhao Wei sent a big red envelope in the group chat. Xingyu is my right-hand man, everyone should learn from her. Tomorrow night's celebration dinner is on me. The group chat was filled with, thank you, boss, and Boss Lu is awesome. I looked at the screen and let out a cold laugh. Go ahead and praise him. The higher you lift him, the harder he'll fall. But I can't just stand by and watch. In this circle, verbal handovers are a major taboo, especially for projects that could land someone in jail. Everything must be in black and white, leaving oneself completely clean. I opened my computer and drafted a new document. Full authority transfer confirmation for the Tianxin Group merger and acquisition project. I deliberately bolded a sentence in the document, effective immediately. Jiang Ning is no longer the project lead. All risks, profits, and legal responsibilities will be fully assumed by the new lead. The printer hummed, spitting out this hot, get-out-of-jail-free card. I took the document and went to the break room to confront someone. Before even stepping inside, I could already hear a series of blushing sounds coming from within. Oh, Brother Zhao, stop fooling around, we're at the company. What's there to be afraid of? That old woman Jiang Ning has already been sent off to the printing room by me. This floor is now our territory. Once the signatures are in place and those tens of millions in kickbacks hit the account, we'll head to Switzerland. You really know how to take care of others. I stood at the door, my stomach churning. Although I had heard rumors that Zhao Wei and Lu Xingyu had an unusual relationship, seeing these two guys fooling around in the break room with my own eyes was still extremely eye-damaging. So the so-called wolf-like spirit was nothing more than serving others with one's looks. I knocked on the open door. The two inside jumped apart as if shocked. Lu Xingyu straightened her skirt, turned around, and saw it was me. The panic on her face instantly turned to disgust. What's wrong with you? Don't you know to call out when you enter? I held back my disgust and handed over the document. Mr. Lu, since the project has been transferred, we still need to follow the procedures. This is the transfer confirmation form, along with all the keys and seals. Please sign here. Lu Xingyu didn't even glance at the document's contents and simply threw the pen onto the table. Jiang Ning, are you not tired of this? Why are you so particular about trivial matters? Afraid I'll steal your credit and not acknowledge it? Zhao Wei also frowned, looking impatient. Xiao Jiang, this is just not interesting. Can't you broaden your perspective a bit? Would Xingyu really try to cheat you out of your hard-earned fee? I lowered my head, pretending to be timid and submissive. I picked up the pen and handed it to Lu Xingyu with both hands. It's not about taking credit, it's company policy. I won't sign the handover, so the finance department can't calculate your bonus for you. At the mention of the word bonus, Lu Xingyu's eyes lit up. It was a greedy gleam. She snatched the document and quickly signed her name. All right, take it and go through the process. I can't stand the sight of you. She signed too quickly, not even noticing the bolded line. Zhao Wei also signed in the witness column. He patted Lu Xingyu on the shoulder, his eyes full of affection. Come on, let's go try on the suit for tomorrow's signing. I looked at those 2 signatures and carefully placed them into the folder. This was no transfer document. This was clearly a detention warrant issued by the King of Hell. As I walked out of the pantry, Lu Xingyu called out from behind me, "Hey, you there. You don't need to attend the signing ceremony tomorrow." Looking at your gloomy face, I'm afraid it might affect the feng shui. I stopped in my tracks, turned around, and gave her a radiant smile. "All right, Mr. Lu, wishing you a triumphant debut tomorrow. Must make a name for yourself, preferably the kind that lands you on the front page of legal news." Early the next morning, the entire company was bustling with preparations for the afternoon signing ceremony. My assistant Lin Xiao is a naive, an innocent recent graduate who hasn't yet grasped the situation and is still foolishly helping me organize old meeting minutes. Lu Xingyu passed by the workstation with a group of people, saw the documents in her hand, and suddenly stopped. "What are you doing?" She kicked Lin Xiao's chair. Lin Xiao was startled, and the documents in her hands scattered all over the floor. "Lu, President Lu. I was organizing the data from before, from President Jiang." "President Jiang? Which President Jiang?" Lu Xingyu let out a sarcastic laugh, and a few opportunistic colleagues around him joined in with a chorus of mocking laughter. "Currently, the company only has a Mr. Lu in charge of the Tianqing project. Are we keeping those outdated data to burn as offerings for the new year?" She casually grabbed a cup of iced Americano from the table and, with a splash, poured it all over Lin Zhao's white shirt. The brown liquid dripped down the front of her clothes, leaving her in a sorry state. "Ah!" Lin Xiao let out a cry of shock, tears instantly welling up in her eyes. "You can't even handle such a small task." As expected, everyone Aunt Jiang brings out is useless. Lu Xingyu pulled out a tissue, wiped his hands disdainfully, and threw it hard at Lin Zhao's face. "You're fired. Get out of my sight immediately, right now." Lin Xiao looked at me tearfully, her eyes filled with a plea for help. I sit at my workstation in the corner, nails digging into my palms, but I can't act impulsively. Rushing forward to start a fight now would only alert the enemy. I have to endure. I walked over, helped Lin Xiao up, and took a spare coat from my bag to drape over her. "Don't cry," I whispered softly in her ear. "Trust me, if you do, go home first and don't say anything. Tomorrow, I'll make sure you return in style." Lin Xiao looked at me with reddened eyes, nodded, and ran out holding the box. Watching her retreating figure, I turned around, my expression already switching to one of humility. "Mr. Lu, the young girl doesn't understand things. Please don't be angry. I have something urgent to attend to." I pulled out a stack of printed email screenshots. While reviewing yesterday, I felt that overseas accounts still seemed a bit suspicious. "This is a risk alert email. Would you like to take another look?" This was the last trap I set for her, alerting about the risk in public. There are people all around. Finance, legal, and administration are all here. Lu Xingyu didn't even glance at it, just flung the stack of papers away with a wave of his hand. "Jiang Ning, are you done yet?" She was furious. "I've already said this project is under my control. Can't you understand plain language? All those so-called risks you mentioned are nothing but bullshit in my eyes. You're just jealous. You just want to ruin my success." She took out her phone and sent a voice message to the entire company group. "Everyone listen up. For the Tianqing acquisition case, all decisions are to be made by me, Lu Xingyu, alone. If Jiang Ning dares to say one more word, she's going against the company. I'll take full responsibility for all risks. There's no need for that useless person to worry." Drip, voice message sent successfully. I lowered my head and picked up the papers from the ground. I tried hard to suppress the upward curve of my mouth. "You said it yourself. I'll take all the risks alone. If this goes to court, this will be solid evidence of your voluntary confession. The judge won't even have a reason to reduce your sentence." At that moment, Zhao Wei also rushed over upon hearing the commotion. Seeing the situation, he immediately pointed at the security guard and shouted, "Security, where the hell is security? Get Jiang Ning out of here. Don't let her set foot in the office area until the signing ceremony is over. Don't let her shabby aura offend the god of wealth." 2 security guards grabbed my arms, one on each side, and dragged me out. I struggled with all my might, playing my part to the fullest. "Mr. Zhao, you can't sign it. There's really a problem. Please check that account again. It's money laundering." "Shut up, gag her," Zhao Wei roared in a fit of rage. "This project has nothing to do with Jiang Ning. If anything goes wrong in the future, you don't need to worry about it. Get out." I was thrown outside the company gate. My butt hit the ground, and it hurt, but I was laughing so happily. I took the phone recording from around my neck and pressed the save button. Zhao Wei's earlier statement, "It has absolutely nothing to do with Jiang Ning," was recorded clearly. I brushed the dust off my pants and stood up. I glanced at my watch. There is 1 hour left until the signing. I walked to the coffee shop across the street and ordered the most expensive latte. The show is about to begin, 2 p.m. The hotel banquet hall was bustling with noise and excitement, although I was grounded. This grand signing ceremony was being live-streamed across the entire internet. I stared intently at the live broadcast. Lu Xingyu had changed into a custom-made white suit, strutting around like a peacock showing off its feathers. Zhao Wei stood beside her, grinning from ear to ear. The audience was packed with financial journalists and industry leaders. The flashbulbs clicked incessantly, casting Lu Xingyu's heavily made-up face in a stark, pale light. Distinguished guests, friends from the media. Lu Xingyu held the microphone, his voice trembling. Today is a day that will go down in history. Securing the Tianxing 100 billion merger deal not only proves our company's strength but also demonstrates one thing. She paused, her gaze sweeping arrogantly across the room, as if shouting across the void to me, that is, the era of the young has arrived. Those timid, self-restricting older generation are destined to be washed away by the tide. The barrage was flooded with bots spamming, President Lu is mighty, and a strong youth makes a strong nation. I chewed on my straw and sneered, yes. The era of the young has arrived. The sewing machines in the prison also greatly need the physical strength of the young. Next, let's welcome the representatives from both sides to sign the contract, the host announced loudly. The stirring music swelled as Lu Xingyu picked up the gold pen, rumored to be worth 80,000 yuan, and signed his name on the contract with a flourish. The final stroke was complete. She tossed the pen aside, raised both hands high, and basked in the cheers of the entire venue. The hostess brought forward the champagne tower. Lu Xingyu picked up his wine glass, and Zhao Wei also took one. The two exchanged a smile, their eyes seemingly already seeing the countless zeros in the Swiss bank account. Cheers, Lu Xingyu shouted loudly, for the $100 billion deal, for financial freedom. Just as the wine glass touched his lips, bang, the redwood door of the banquet hall was violently flung open. The loud noise drowned out the background music, startling everyone. Before anyone could react, 2 teams of fully armed SWAT officers, holding riot shields, quickly rushed into the venue. The leading officer wore a stern, murderous expression. Don't move, police. This roar left everyone's ears ringing. The live stream screen shook violently for a moment, and the cameraman was clearly terrified as well. On stage, Lu Xingyu's hand trembled. The expensive champagne spilled all over her expensive suit dress. Who is Lu Xingyu? The officer strode swiftly onto the podium, holding up the arrest warrant. Lu Xingyu's legs went weak, his previous arrogance vanishing instantly. She stammered as she hid behind Zhao Wei. I am. What are you doing? Do you know who my father is? Who cares who your father is? The police didn't waste any time arguing with her. They immediately stepped forward, twisted her arms behind her back, and pressed her face hard against the signing table. The champagne tower crashed to the floor with a loud shatter, sending glass shards flying everywhere. Crunch, a pair of silver handcuffs tightly locked onto Lu Xingyu's wrist, the one that had just finished signing. You are suspected of major money laundering, financial fraud, and illegal business operations, involving a huge amount of money. You are now being criminally detained according to the law. Zhao Wei was also pinned to the ground by 2 police officers, his face pressed against the floor, still struggling desperately. Misunderstanding, comrade officers, this is a misunderstanding. We are legitimate businessmen. This project hasn't started yet. The officer picked up the still wet ink contract on the table. The signatures are already on it. The evidence is solid. Take them away. The entire room erupted in an uproar. The reporters' camera flashes went off like crazy, but this time they weren't capturing glory. They were capturing disgrace. The live stream chat exploded instantly. Holy crap, what's going on? Are they arresting someone? So this is the legendary $100 billion deal. Turns out it's a $100 billion scam. That Mr. Lu was just showing off earlier, and now he's peeing his pants. Right, on the screen, Lu Xingyu was being escorted out by the police, his face filled with the terror of falling from heaven into hell. Her expensive suit was wrinkled, her hair was disheveled, and she had lost one of her high heels while running. Like a clown, I put down the iPad in my hand, picked up the latte in front of me, and gently clinked my cup against the screen, aiming at that disheveled figure. To your financial freedom, Mr. Lu, farewell. The company was shut down. All the executives were taken back to the police station to assist with the investigation, including me. In the interrogation room, the high-wattage incandescent light was dazzling from the neighboring interrogation room. Zhao Wei's hysterical screams could be faintly heard even through the walls. I'm innocent, I was deceived. This project wasn't my responsibility from the start, it was Jiang Ning. Yes, that woman, Jiang Ning, she's the project director, all the data was handled by her. Lu Xingyu and I were just there to sign off. What responsibility do we have? Ignorance is no excuse for guilt, immediately followed by Lu Xingyu's wailing, which sounded utterly broken. Officer, I'm only 23 years old, I'm still an intern. I don't understand anything, it was Jiang Ning who taught me to sign it, she's the mastermind, I was framed by her. My dad is Lu Zhenghua, I want to see my lawyer, shifting blames so smoothly. If it weren't for the groundwork laid this morning, I really wouldn't be able to explain it clearly. The police officer sitting across from me is a seasoned detective, with eyes as sharp as an eagle's. Jiang Ning, the two next door insist that you are the actual person in charge, and they are just figureheads. How do you explain this 100 billion money laundering case? I remained exceptionally calm, one might even say I appeared somewhat pitiful. I adjusted my glasses and pulled out the meticulously prepared chain of evidence from my briefcase, sorted into categories, and even labeled. Officer, I understand how they feel, after all, no one wants to go to jail. This is the project full transfer agreement that Lu Xingyu and Zhao Wei forced me to sign yesterday afternoon. Witnessed by the entire company, it clearly states in black and white that all legal responsibilities are to be borne by them. The veteran detective took the file and raised an eyebrow. And this? I took out a USB drive and plugged it into the computer. This is a screen recording of Lu Xingyu insulting me in the company's main group chat this morning, along with her reply in the all-staff group. I will take full responsibility for all risks. And here are the 3 risk warning emails I sent them as the former person in charge. I clearly pointed out that there were issues with the fund flow and suggested terminating the cooperation, but the only response I got was 2 words, get lost. On the screen, Lu Xingyu's arrogant voice echoed once again in the interrogation room, I'll take full responsibility for all the risks myself. This bold declaration now sounds so ironic, yet so pleasing to the ear. Finally, I played my trump card, the video I recorded while being dragged out of the meeting room by security. In the footage, Zhao Wei points at the camera and roars. This project has absolutely nothing to do with Jiang Ning. The video finished playing, the interrogation room fell into a dead silence. The veteran detective looked at the flawless evidence, then glanced at my calm expression. He suddenly smiled, an appreciation for the clever. Miss Jiang, you're quite well prepared. I lowered my head and let out a bitter laugh. No choice, in the workplace, you have to learn to protect yourself. If I hadn't kept this trick up my sleeve, the one crying next door right now would be me. The veteran detective closed the folder and stood up. All right. The chain of evidence is complete. Based on the information we have gathered so far, not only were you not involved in the crime, but you were also a victim of exclusion and suppression. You attempted to issue warnings multiple times but were obstructed. He walked over and helped me open the barrier of the interrogation chair. Miss Jiang, you may leave now. If we need you to testify later, we will contact you again. By the time I walked out of the police station gate, it was already late at night. A cool breeze was blowing gently. I gazed at the brightly lit city in the distance and took a deep breath of the free air. At that moment, several prison vans were roaring into the detention center. I knew that Lu Xingyu and Zhao Wei's lives were over, and my life was just beginning. I took out my phone and sent a WeChat message to my assistant, Lin Xiao, be on time for work tomorrow, paid leave is over. Oh, by the way, remember to buy a cup of coffee, full sugar, to celebrate that we're not unemployed yet. Early the next morning, I arrived at the company on time, wearing 8cm red-soled high heels. Although the police sirens from last night had stopped, the chaos at the company was just beginning. The economic crime investigation team was sealing the place, moving boxes of relevant documents out one by one. The executive team that once kicked me when I was down now looks like a bunch of ants on a hot pan. As soon as I walked into the lobby, HR Director Li Shuangbiao slid to her knees in front of me. Her usually stern face was now twisted into a smile uglier than a frown, with wrinkles deep enough to trap flies. Oh, Director Jiang, you're back. I always knew good fortune would follow you. She rubbed her hands together, trying to help me with my bag, but I sidestepped to avoid her. Mr. Zhao and Mr. Lu have gone in, and now the company is left without a leader. The board of directors just called, suggesting that you temporarily take charge to stabilize morale. This is the workplace. Yesterday I was the useless old auntie moving paper in the printing room, but today I am the one in charge. CEO Jiang. I stopped in my tracks, took off my sunglasses, and looked at her coldly. Directorly, if I remember correctly, at this time yesterday, you were still saying in the group chat that I was occupying the toilet without doing anything, and wanted to have me publicly criticized across the entire industry. Li Shuangbiao's face instantly turned ashen, and sweat poured down like rain. Misunderstanding, Zhao Wei forced me to send that. I have always held you in the highest regard. Is that so? I smiled, took out a pre-prepared lawyer's letter from my bag, and slapped it against her chest. Perfect timing, to express your respect. Please accept this lawsuit. I am suing the company, Zhao Wei, Lu Xingyu, and you personally for seriously infringing on my reputation and subjecting me to workplace bullying. Compensation for emotional distress plus lost wages, I've calculated it, and it's roughly about 1 million. Li Shuangbiao's legs went weak, and he collapsed directly onto the floor. The financial director, Wang Sunpan, was not spared either. He was about to slip away when I called out to stop him. Director Wang, don't be in such a hurry to leave. The economic investigation team is still checking the accounts. Why don't you go have a cup of tea with them? I pointed to the police officers who were sealing up the finance department. Do you really think that deleting the fake accounts you helped Zhao Wei create for the Tianqing project would make everything go away? I happened to make a cloud backup yesterday and have already sent it to the officers. Wang Sunpan's thermos cup clattered to the ground, shattering into pieces. That day, the company's top brass was almost completely wiped out. I sat in the luxurious office that once belonged to Zhao Wei, watching the bustling traffic outside the window, but felt little satisfaction. This was merely a house cleaning. The real mastermind behind the scenes, the one who gave Lu Xingyu the confidence, hasn't shown up yet. As expected, after the young one was dealt with, the old one has come, and they came quickly. 3 days later, I was on my way home from work. A black Rolls-Royce with a consecutive license plate was parked horizontally on the only road leading to my building. The car window rolled down, revealing a stern and sinister face. Lu Zhenghua, the father of Lu Xingyu, a locally renowned capital tycoon. 2 men in black suits opened the car door for me, not as an invitation, but as a demand. I didn't resist and calmly took my seat. Lu Zhenghua was spinning 2 walnuts in his hand, not even bothering to look at me. Miss Jiang, you're a smart person, so I won't beat around the bush. He casually tossed over a check, 50 million. Enough for a wage slave like you to live 10 lifetimes. I glanced at that string of zeros. It was indeed tempting. What's the catch? Recant. Lu Zhenghua's voice was flat, as if discussing the most ordinary of business deals. Go tell the police that you remembered wrong, or that you misled Xingyu in the operational procedures. In short, get my daughter out of this. As for how you'll get out of this, I have a top-tier legal team that will ensure you get probation, no jail time. You want me to take the fall, and you make it sound like a favor. I picked up the check and flicked it. The sound crisp and clear. Mr. Lu, your daughter was crying for her dad in the interrogation room with the same confidence. Lu Zhenghua's hand, which was turning walnuts, came to a halt. He turned his head, his gaze as if he wanted to devour me whole. Jiang Ning, don't be ungrateful when given face. In this industry, it's easier for me to blacklist someone than to crush an ant. You may have the life to take the money, but you also need the life to spend it. A blatant death threat. I tore the check in half, then into quarters, and finally crumpled it into a ball before tossing it into the car's ashtray. Chairman Lu, I have a message for you as well. I leaned in close to him, staring into those murky, aged eyes. Your daughter's little money laundering scheme, she's just an accomplice, but if I'm not mistaken, the real financial pool behind Tianqing Group is your Lu Group, isn't it? Pull up one radish. And the mud comes with it. Right now, you shouldn't be worrying about how to bail out your daughter. You should be worrying about whether your old bones can handle the hard prison bed. With that, I pushed open the car door and strode away. Behind me came Lu Zhenghua's furious roar and the sound of a shattering cup. That night, my front door was splashed with red paint, and a dead rat was left at the entrance. I reported it to the police, then posted a moment on social media with a picture of the dead rat. I've received Chairman Lu's greeting gift. Since you're being so courteous, I should return the favor. Lu Zhenghua thought these underhanded tactics could intimidate me, but he was wrong. I come from a risk control background. The more dangerous the situation, the clearer my mind becomes. Since we've already torn up the facade, there's no need to hold back anymore. These past few days, I haven't gone to the company, but have stayed shut in at home. Leveraging my knowledge of offshore financial structures, I began to dig up the roots by following the money laundering accounts in the Tianqing project. That idiot Lu Xingyu, though not skilled, At least he's lazy. Many of her account passwords were the same. Lu Zhenghua's birthday plus her own birthday. I followed the trail and infiltrated a peripheral server of the Lu group. Although it contained no core data, it was enough for me to piece together a shocking map of a money laundering network. It turns out that the so-called Tianqing merger was just the tip of the iceberg of the Lu family's vast money laundering empire over the past decade. They have used such fraudulent mergers to transfer tens of billions of assets overseas, harming countless small and medium-sized investors. The moment the data download completed, the progress bar reached 100%. I stared at the screen, knowing that what I held in my hands was a nuclear bomb. I didn't hand the evidence directly to the police, because I wasn't sure just how far Lu Zhenghua's protective umbrella extended. I want to make this fire burn even brighter, so bright that no one can cover it up. I set up my phone, turned on the ring light, and sat in front of the camera. I took out my ID card, faced the camera, and looked determined. My name is Jiang Ning, former senior director of a certain investment company. Today, I am publicly reporting Lu Zhenghua, chairman of the Lu Group, and his daughter Lu Xingyu, for their alleged involvement in major transnational money laundering, financial fraud, and stock market manipulation. In the video, I clearly and logically presented the flow of funds chart, a list of shell companies, and the recording of Lu Zhenghua threatening me. Finally, I said to the camera, I know what posting this video means. I might disappear, or I might meet with an accident, but before that happens, I hope justice arrives first. Click to upload. Hashtag Jiangning reports Lu Group under real name. Hashtag the inside story of the billion-dollar money laundering case. Hashtag. In just half an hour, the trending topics exploded. An avalanche of public opinion often requires just a single snowflake, but what I threw down was a boulder. That video went viral across the entire internet, with views surpassing 100 million. Countless investors who had been driven to bankruptcy by the Lu Group joined the chorus of condemnation. The Supreme People's Procuratorate, the China Securities Regulatory Commission, and the Ministry of Public Security formed a joint task force overnight and entered the Lu Group. Over the next month, the headlines were more dramatic than a TV series. The stock price of Lu Group has fallen for 10 consecutive trading days, with its market value evaporating by hundreds of billions. Lu Zhenghua was apprehended by special police on the tarmac while attempting to board a private jet to leave the country. 1 month later, the court is in session. I appeared in court as a key witness. In the defendant's seat, Lu Zhenghua had turned completely gray overnight, looking as if he had aged 10 years. Meanwhile, Lu Xingyu had cut his hair short and was wearing a yellow vest. He had become so thin that he was almost unrecognizable, with a vacant look in his eyes. The trial had been proceeding step by step until the prosecution read out the final piece of supplementary evidence regarding the flow of funds. After investigation, the 8 billion yuan in illegal proceeds from the Tianqing project was transferred to Lu Tianhao's personal trust account in Switzerland through an underground bank. 1 week before the incident occurred, the dead-silent courtroom suddenly erupted. Lu Xingyu, who had been keeping her head down, abruptly looked up, her neck stiffly turned toward Lu Zhenghua, her eyes nearly bulging out of their sockets. Dad, what does he mean? The money, all went to my brother. Didn't you say that was our family's life-saving money? Didn't you say that as long as I held on through this wave, once you sorted things out outside, I would become the Lu family's heir? Lu Zhenghua didn't dare to look at her, his eyes darting away as he muttered softly, Xingyu, your brother, he's the only son of our Lu family, the one to carry on the family line. You're a girl, after all, and you'll get married sooner or later. Make a sacrifice for the family, and your brother will burn incense for you in the future. Burn incense? Lu Xingyu was stunned, then let out a bone-chilling, bitter laugh. So from the very beginning, you planned for me to die. Ever since I was a child, you made me study finance, forced me into the company, made me sign those damned projects, all just to shield that useless brother of mine, who only knows how to play with sports cars and women abroad. He is the incense, and what am I? Am I just your fuel? Lu Xingyu's rationality completely snapped at this moment. Order in the court. The defendant, maintain order. The judge struck the gavel, but Lu Xingyu could no longer hear. She had gone mad. Lu Zhenghua, you old beast. With a piercing scream, Lu Xingyu violently broke free from the bailiff's control. She immediately opened her mouth and lunged fiercely at her own father beside her. Lu Zhenghua let out a pig-slaughtering-like scream. Lu Xingyu bit down on Lu Zhenghua's ear, refusing to let go, and blood instantly gushed out, staining her gray prison uniform, and dyeing Lu Zhenghua's pale hair red. It's you, you're the one who ruined me. Her mouth was full of blood, and she roared indistinctly, like a demon crawling out of hell. You said I could get the money as long as I signed, you said. You'd protect me, but in the end, you sold me out. You're using me to fill the holes so your precious son can live it up abroad. I'll bite you to death, you biased old thing, let's die together. Bailiffs swarmed in, and it took 3 or 4 strong men to barely restrain the frenzied Lu Xingyu. Lu Zhenghua clutched his half-torn ear, writhing in pain on the ground, his wails echoing through the courtroom, while Lu Xingyu was pinned to the ground, his face pressed against the cold floor. He still desperately twisted his head. I refuse to accept this, I want to expose it. Lu Zhenghua has 2 overseas accounts, they were left for that illegitimate child. I want to make sure the Lu family has no heirs, none of you will survive. The scene descended into chaos, with reporters in the gallery frantically clicking their shutters, capturing this tragic drama of a wealthy family tearing itself apart. I sat in the audience, watching all of this with a cold gaze. It wasn't as satisfying as I had imagined. I only felt sorrow. Greed truly is a poison that erodes one's humanity. Final verdict, Lu Zhenghua, life imprisonment, with all personal property confiscated. Lu Xingyu, 15 years of imprisonment. Zhao Wei, 12 years of imprisonment. At the moment the gavel fell, the dust settled. Stepping out of the courthouse, the sunlight was a bit harsh. Countless microphones were thrust in front of me, and reporters clamored to ask how I felt at that moment. Facing the camera, I only said one thing: even in the sewers, remember to look up at the stars. But the premise is, don't jump into the cesspool yourself. 2 years later, CBD core area, Ningyuan capital, President Jiang. Here is the financial report for this quarter. The 3 hard-tech projects we invested in have all outperformed the market. Lin Xiao, dressed in a sharp professional suit and high heels, was no longer the little crybaby who used to be scolded to tears. She is now my partner. I took the report, looked it over, and signed my name. Well done. Tonight's team-building event. You picked the place. Got it. Lin Xiao happily agreed, then suddenly remembered something and pulled a letter from the folder. By the way, Mr. Jiang, the mailroom just delivered a letter. It was sent from that place. The envelope bore the postmark of a prison. Sender, Lu Xingyu. Chapter 10. I held the letter and walked to the floor-to-ceiling window. I opened it. The paper was crumpled, the handwriting messy. Lu Xingyu confessed in the letter, saying she was having a miserable time inside, being bullied and not having enough to eat. She said she regretted every day why she had offended me back then. At the end of the letter, she wrote humbly, Ms. Jiang, for the sake of our time as colleagues, could you send me some living expenses? Even a few hundred yuan would do. I want to buy some ham sausages. That once arrogant Miss Lu, who used to wear custom-made suits worth tens of thousands, now, for a few ham sausages, she's begging pitifully on the letter. I took out a lighter and lit a corner of the letter. With a snap, a flame leaped up. I watched as the fire slowly devoured those humble words, until they turned to ashes and fell into the ashtray. Lin Xiao, hey, Mr. Jiang, get me a coffee, full sugar. Sure, right away. For some people, the ending is already written from the moment they choose to do evil. Another year of campus recruitment season. The conference room at Ningyuan Capital is filled with young, inexperienced interns. Their eyes sparkle with the same light I once had, both ambitious and cautious. I sit at the head of the table, flipping through resumes. Suddenly, a female candidate's resume caught my attention. Graduated from a prestigious university with an impressive background, but in the biggest weakness section, she wrote, too serious. Your name is Chen Zhen. I looked up at her. The girl stood up nervously, straightening her slightly ill-fitting suit. Yes, General Manager Jiang. I twirled the pen in my hand and asked, if one day, your superior asks you to sign off on a clearly problematic project and promises you a huge bonus, what would you do? The room fell completely silent. The other interns were looking at each other, thinking about how to answer in a tactful way. Chen Zhen was taken aback for a moment, then raised his head, his gaze clear and resolute. I would refuse. I might even call the police, because some money can be earned, but some money is too hot to handle. I looked at her. It was as if I saw myself from many years ago, staring at the computer screen late at night, hands and feet icy cold, yet still unwilling to go along with the crowd. I closed the resume, a slight smile curling at the corner of my mouth. Congratulations, Chen Zhen, you've passed. At that moment, the TV on the wall was broadcasting the midday news. Inmate Lu at a certain prison, due to repeatedly violating prison regulations and participating in fights, has had his sentence reduction eligibility revoked, and an additional year has been added to his sentence. I turned around and looked out the window at the familiar CBD skyline. Sunlight pierced through the clouds, spilling onto the glass curtain walls and reflecting dazzling rays of light. This world is still full of temptations and traps, but as long as there are still people willing to light a lamp in the dark night, the sky will eventually brighten,